But there weren't too many attacks on Bernie Sanders, even though he's the one that admits to being a socialist. Why do you think they largely ignored Bernie?
Well, if you're a Democratic primary voter, it's not a bad thing for someone to admit to being a socialist, because we know that even though, well, I wouldn't consider myself one, and I'm strongly voting for Hillary Clinton in the Democratic primary and in the general election because we know she's going to make it there. For a lot of, especially liberal Democrats, that just means someone who is interested in social justice and equality, economic equality, opportunity for everyone. A lot of the things that no one talked about on that debate stage last night. It took them 40 minutes to even get into talking about women's rights. And then from the undercard debate, Liz, one of the most ridiculous statements of the entire night that shows why the Republican Party loses women voters by greater than double digits in elections, when Huckabee in the undercard debate said, "I know all about Janet Yellen. My wife's name is Janet, and I understand about Janet Yellen." Come on, are you really going to defend that, Liz?
No. And one of the things, I'm glad you brought up the poll numbers about women, because Hillary Clinton, a poll was recently released that said that she does not poll well with young women. With women my own age in the millennial generation, Bernie Sanders polls better than her. Why do you think that is? Why can't she connect with young women?
I don't think it's that she's not connecting with young women. I think when you see that Hillary Clinton, when she wins the primary and then on to the general, a large part of that Obama coalition that helped elect him, which was made up of young, college-educated female voters, as well as middle-aged and older female voters, people of color, they're going to come out for Hillary Clinton. I think right now what you're seeing is that those young, highly educated women are excited by some of the things that Bernie Sanders said initially before Hillary Clinton realized that those are the things people want to hear about. Look, Hillary Clinton has been in the public eye for a long time. And I think Bernie Sanders is just now getting attention. He's been there too, but he's just beginning to now get attention, and people are just hearing for the first time what he has to say, things that Hillary Clinton has been saying all along.
But isn't that a bad sign for Hillary Clinton that she's already, not even in the general election, in the primary, she's already the second choice, that young women don't want to vote for her first. They're just going to vote for her as a last resort if she's the one that gets the nomination, because she's been pandering so hard to young women. She's been talking about birth control. She's been talking about abortion, all the reproductive issues. She's been talking about equal pay. All of her talking points recently has been focused on my demographic, on young women, and she's still not garnering our support. So what does that say about her campaign in general if she can't even get our support now? What does that say about in the general election?
Liz, how can you call it pandering for a woman to talk about what we call women's issues, which actually are just family issues, paid parental leave, reproductive rights, equal pay for equal work? How can you say that she's not connecting with women on these things? She is a woman. She has lived and breathed these issues. What I think we're seeing in Bernie Sanders is what I've said all along. It's a summer of Sanders, just like it's been a summer of Trump. In both cases, both candidates will swoon. We're starting to see that already. Bernie Sanders has a cap in terms of how high he can go. Hillary Clinton does not. And I think it's natural. When she was Secretary of State, her poll numbers were stratospheric. Once she became a political candidate, it happens to every candidate. Your numbers come down. They're stabilizing. They're rising. I think she's going to make it out of the primary handily, no questions asked. She continues to lead by high double digits across the nation in polling, and she'll win the general as well, no doubt.
I'll tell you why it's pandering. I'll tell you why it's pandering for her to target women with just reproductive issues. Because when polled, the issues that women care about the most, family issues you call them, aren't reproductive issues. Women care most about jobs. They care most about the economy. They care most about how they're going to keep their families safe, fed, well, and educated. Those are the issues women care about the most. And by relegating women to be single-issue voters, telling us that we only care about reproduction, about sex, about birth control, that's insulting to our intelligence. That's not what we want to see from government. Those are issues we want to handle culturally. We want the government to make the environment in our nation conducive to raising our families in the way that we deem best. And that is through opportunity, through available jobs, not through government telling us that, oh, we can't pay for our $9 a month birth control. We'll pay for it for you. That's why I think she's pandering. And that's why I think she's not resonating with young women, because we're over that. We're past that. We're not at the point anymore that we can be told that we only care about those issues. What we care about now that we're not 18 years old anymore, now that the millennial generation is growing up, that we're 25 to 30 years old, we're getting paychecks. We're seeing those taxes being taken away. That's what we care about. We know that we can help those less fortunate than us better than the government can, that we can spend our money better than the government can. And Hillary Clinton preaches exactly the opposite. She tells us we can't do that, and the government's the answer.
Not the case, Liz. That's why she leads on all of the issues that you mentioned about income inequality, income security, good jobs, a good education, building the economy from the middle class out instead of the 1% who are doing just fine. We can say that now. It's late 2015. The economy is doing better than at any point since the late 1990s when another Clinton was president. Hillary Clinton doesn't just talk about the so-called women's issues. Yes, family issues. She talks about and she leads any other Republican on all of those issues. It's just a fact. She wants to build an economy that works for everybody, not just for the people at the top, and says to the people at the bottom, forget it, you're on your own.
Well, she actually doesn't lead in all the polls. There was a poll released last week that had Ben Carson in a head-to-head against her in the general election, that he would beat her in a general election. And I think that's because he's not pandering to women. He's talking truth. He's talking to women about what we want to hear about jobs and the economy. He rarely even talks about reproductive issues. The only time he mentions those things is to reaffirm his support for life from the moment of conception until death, with very small exceptions to that. And I think that's why he's resonating, why those numbers show him beating Hillary in a head-to-head in the general election.